Hey, John Larson here. Today we're going to be going over what I carry in my kitchen box in my JL Wrangler. All right, John Larson here. Today we're going to be going over what I carry in my camp kitchen tote. I obviously carry a lot more than just the camp kitchen, but over the years I've whittled it down and added things and taken away things, and I'm always taking notes when I get back from a trip, what I didn't use and what I did use, and then what I needed. And so that's the first thing I can recommend to anyone. Everyone's gonna have slightly different needs and requirements. So go on a trip, have some fun, and then take notes when you get home. I think it's super important. I track it in Excel, or you could use Google Sheets, or you just use scratch paper for that matter. I'm gonna get right into it though. I just took these out. These are just cheap cutting boards, dollar store cutting boards, and then maybe something from Target or Walmart. They do get kind of destroyed sometimes when you go camping, and you might end up using them for something else while you're camping. And also too, if you buy a large one, it's just not gonna fit in here. So these are great to have. You gotta have coffee making equipment, so I always use these pour overs when I'm camping. Also French presses. This GSI Outdoors, it folds into nothing, and it's silicone, so that's pretty sweet. It's just for taking up space. I'm constantly taking notes on how tight can I pack this thing. Coffee filters. We always bring paper plates, but I like to have a couple of these guys for emergencies if someone forgets them, or if you cook a couple tri-tips and you're out of cutting board space. This kind of stuff comes in handy, and you always have them in the tote. Extra coffee cups. I like the ones that stack into each other. These are old school from the 80s from my dad. I don't think they make them stackable anymore. Also have a coffee mug. I actually use this for doing the pour overs onto. So over the years, I used to bring a lot of pots and pans, and most trips, we don't use a lot of pots and pans. I really just ended up kind of whittling it down to a cast iron skillet, and I really can cook just about anything on this. And I actually now kind of plan the meals around just having one cast iron skillet to cook. And from there, it's funny, I often take the bowls out. I go all the time. Over the years, I've taken them out, added them in, taken them out, added them in, and that one time you need them for mixing pancake mix, or I don't know, someone brings cereal, or you're doing oatmeal. I don't do that very often, but they are nice to have, so I do just keep 4 in there. My gear box is really set up to feed 1 to 4 people for 1 meal, or if you're eating by yourself, you don't have to do dishes for 4 meals. If you have a bunch of people, I still recommend, that's just my opinion, but bring a bunch of paper plates. This is a new addition. I used to have one of these 15 years ago, just a cheap little handsaw. I forgot my chainsaw on a trip last year, and we were trying to cut up some long firewood, and I was thinking, man, it's not going to be the last time I forget my chainsaw. And so grabbed one of these, Irwin brand or something. But yeah, it also has a metal blade as well, so you never know when that can come in handy. That's if you forget a chainsaw. Tons of trash bags, and it seems like you can't have enough of these. You're gonna have bottles and cans. Also carry some they call them fire gloves, but they just look more than likely look like a welding glove. Never used this. This is a kind of a new addition life straw thing. That was more of cover your butts if someone runs out of water, or if we run out of water, if you get stuck somewhere for longer than you think. I always try to bring way too much water, but you never know. I use these cheap lanterns now. I used to always bring, that blinded me. That's a bad idea. I used to always bring propane lanterns, and then I whittled it down to the small single mantle propane lanterns. And then when these things started hitting all over Amazon, there's 100 different brands, and they're 4 for $20. Usually 4 for $25. So I keep 3 of them in here, and then before I leave, I usually even in the Cherokee or the Wrangler behind you, I'll throw a couple on the floorboards on the back seat, kind of under the seat. So if we roll into camp at night, I can just grab 2 real fast and have some light immediately just around camp. More coffee making, water boiling. I use this Cabela's. This actually used to be a percolator. now it's just now it's just turned into my water boiling setup for making coffee, or if we're gonna do like freeze-dried meals, I'll boil water on that as well. And yeah, you know, it's not in this tote, but I do carry usually a Coleman 2-burner propane stove, and then I always have like one of those cheap little backpacking stoves for like quick and dirty water boiling, and it's actually in its own little tote, and I don't count it as part of my kitchen. And that's if you're out on the road all day, you're wheeling all day, maybe you have a breakdown, maybe you're just tired, maybe you get to camp way later than you thought. You don't want to set up the whole kitchen at that point, which is going to have like your kitchen table and maybe some other, I have like some other Coleman fold-up kitchen setups. And, you know, if it's like midnight and you're exhausted and you're starving, just boiling water really quickly and doing a freeze-dried meal is really nice. I just carry the $1 Dawn dish soap things from like Walmart or the dollar store or Target. This is fancy. I just got this for Christmas. Haven't used it yet. I did start bringing French presses last year. I think there was at least one trip where we forgot coffee filters, and I was and the pour over thing, and I was cutting water bottles in half and putting paper towels in there, and using that to brew coffee, and that really sucked. And so now I always bring a French press just in case I forget other things. And and if you have a lot of people around camp in the morning, you can make a lot of camp coffee that way. I try to bring 2 of these air compressors now. So there's one like with my air mattress, and this is like an Amazon rechargeable one. I think it was $20, Dr. Meter, I don't know. This actually works really good. It's really small, physically tiny, but it's like way faster than my other ones. So I end up using that most of the time anyways. Ziploc bags, just a little bit. I mean, God, I used to have like boxes of different size Ziploc bags. I used to have these like fire tongs, and I mean, the list was huge of all this stuff we used to bring. And over the years, it was like not really using most of this. I mean, it just seemed like a waste. And the one time you needed it, it's like, yeah, we're camping, we're roughing it. Like, let's deal, right? Like, we don't need to bring every little thing. I love these bread knives. They seem to last forever. They got like a nice plastic handle. I don't know. I mean, you could buy fancy knives if you want. You can go buy some super fancy camping stuff. I mean, I don't think anything that I actually take camping, other than maybe the Cabela's percolator thing, and this is, I think, this Stanley mug is more of a camping thing. Otherwise, most of my stuff is, I guess these coffee cups are kind of a branded camping item. I've actually used these in the house before though. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just regular stuff that you would buy, but just inexpensive stuff. Always have a wash basin for doing dishes. I mean, this thing's old. It's been around a long time. It's nothing special. I'm sure it was like $1 or $2 15 years ago. And then fitting in here last is I have a couple shoebox totes that squeeze in here. This is another thing that I choose not to bring quite often, and then it burns me, and I end up having greasy hands from working on someone's Jeep, and I just wish I had some fast orange. So I actually have a couple layers of redundancy. I usually keep one of these under the front seat and one of these in the kitchen tote, so that way if I forget it, I usually have another one. Paracord, I don't use this very often, but there was one time we needed it when we camped where it was so windy, it was actually blowing the tents over, and someone had paracord, and I thought, well, for whatever, $4 or something, I'll throw some in there. I always try to bring extra sponges. There's only one in here right now. I don't run a propane lantern anymore, but I use mantles still. I mean, I keep them in here at all times. Other people bring propane lanterns, and if you're coordinating your gear and the person who's bringing the propane lantern forgets their mantles, you have no light in camp. And that's the other reason why I leave these little lanterns, those electric ones, in the kitchen box, is because there have been times when, yes, people forgot light sources, and those never leave the kitchen box now. So at least if everyone forgets all of their flashlights and all their lanterns, you got 3 little electric lanterns that'll get you by, and they'll get you by for a trip. And therefore, that's why I carry these extra batteries. I mean, literally more mantles. That's actually probably needs to come out. There's only been a couple trips where I've had to either use dice or cards, and that's when you know it's going to be dumping rain, and you don't always think about activities to do. And if it's raining super hard to where you don't even leave your tent for a day or two, we'll end up like setting up one of the small fold-up camp tables in the tent and play cards or dice, just to have something to do. And when you're camping, it seems like cards and dice are way more fun camping than normal. Yeah, comment below if you have like cool ideas for like what you do for activities when you're camping. If it's like pouring rain, pouring snow. I mean, on some of the snow camping trips we do where it's like a foot of snow, we'll tarp off and easy up and just keep pushing the snow off all night, and we'll just play cards all night. I like to have lots of these cheap stick lighters. They're $1 each. I try to always have 3 or 4. They disappear. Someone else brings a stove. Can I borrow your lighter? This happens like every time. This will go down to 3 lighters after the next trip, and I won't know, or maybe even 2, and I won't know where they go. More mantles. Okay, awesome. I don't know, I have way too many mantles in here. And then the last one is just like kitchen utensils. Here, let's bring that up. So yeah, spatulas. I like the all metal ones. Some cheapo tongs. This is for like making pancakes. You have to have a full-size can opener. The little cheapo camping ones that are all funky, they suck. And this is like $3. So it's like, why not have a full-size one? It works good. That's another thing that people always forget are can openers, and I don't know why. It's like stick lighters, mantles, and can openers are 3 of the top things that I just see other people forget, including myself. And so I try to prepare for that stuff. Also, air compressors for airing up your air mattress. I've forgotten mine before. That's why I carry 2 now. With an air mattress, you're totally out of luck if you don't have a spare. I'm looking through here too. I mean, forks, knives, like 1 big serving spoon, a couple spatulas. I don't think I've like ever really used these cheap. I mean, these were probably $1. Maybe I've used them once. That's really it. And then yeah, just do dishes with your tub. I mean, I know there's so many fancy setups out there. People have all kinds of cool setups. I mean, if you have like a really cool setup, I don't know, post a link to your stuff or comment below. If there's anything that you think I'm forgetting, comment below, DM me. I mean, once again, this is just 1 tote out of all the gear that goes into the Jeep. I'll probably do some other videos when we start camping. We got like 15 feet of snow up near Rubicon right now and Fordyce, and I don't think I'll be taking the crawler out anytime soon with the roof and doors off with all that. I mean, if we get some warm days, I don't know. We might be able to get some snow camping in still. I gotta check motor vehicle use maps and call Forest Service and see what's even open right now. And I think that's mostly it. So yeah, I'll probably do some other videos on other gear that I carry. Like I said, I mean, it might look kind of haphazard and just being in a Home Depot tote, but this is like 20 years of tracking notes, getting back from a trip. I'm usually excited when I get back. Before I even unload the Jeep, I will go into Excel and I will like quickly, before I forget, go through my list of items that I brought, and then I quickly jot down while I still remember all the items I didn't need, and then of course, what did we need? I know salt and pepper is a big one. I never bring salt and pepper or spices. Those go with the kitchen. Like, I bring a dry food tote where all the dry food goes. And if we need salt and pepper for that trip, I bring it there. Cause yeah, that was another thing where I used to have all these weird spices in my kitchen tote, and it's like, I don't know, they'd expire after so many years and they just sit in the kitchen tote, and we would maybe need salt and pepper. So you kind of get into that mentality of like, we have enough to get by. The main thing we need is coffee at all costs. We've had to wheel out of trails before and wheel into town just to get coffee because someone forgot to bring coffee, and then wheel all the way back in. And so for the longest time, I was carrying those instant coffee packets, and I had them in the kitchen tote as well. And I might add some back in here. I often bring iced coffees as an emergency backup. I usually don't forget those because it definitely sucks if you forget coffee. I feel like you could forget almost the whole kitchen tote and still get by if you had like a cast iron skillet and a coffee maker. So anyways, comment below. I think the next video might be on the kitchen that's in the crawler, which is in just a tiny little pull-out drawer in the back. Nothing super fancy, and that's even, it's probably half the size of this tote, and that is super whittled down for like 5-day Rubicon trips where we kind of bring the bare minimum, and I'm usually by myself in this rig, whereas this setup is more that we're going in a group with anywhere from 4 to 20 people, and we kind of combine kitchens, And because I have those lists in Excel, I could ask other people like what they're bringing, what we need. And if everyone has enough of silverware and enough cups, it's like I don't have to bring 20 cups. You don't have to bring 20 cups. And then, maybe you split the kitchen across 2 rigs. And instead, if you have 5 or 10 rigs going, not everyone has to bring kitchen gear. So now someone else can bring a chainsaw, and someone else can bring the camp toilet. And yeah, we use that. We all share that, right? You got wag bags. Instead of everyone bringing their own toilet, because that kind of sucks. Everyone doesn't have to bring lanterns if I bring 3 and someone else in the group brings 3 and someone else brings 2. Although I highly recommend everyone bring like at least 1 light source on top of a headlamp. I am a huge believer in headlamps now. I think I have 1 in the center console, 2 more in a little baggie hanging off the roll cage. And then same thing in the Wrangler behind us. I got headlamp in the center console, headlamp in the glove box, and I usually have a second one in the center console before I leave. I mean, those come in handy. It seems like way too many trips we end up wheeling in at night, not planning to, too many stops. Someone breaks down on the side of the road on the way to the trail. You stop to get food somewhere. Someone forgot to grab groceries the night before, and they decided it was a good idea to go shopping on the way to the trip, and they kind of forget that it takes like an hour to go through a grocery store and then another 20 minutes in the parking lot, and then you end up stopping again, and all of a sudden they're 2 or 3 hours late to your trip, which that has happened way too many times. And that's kind of a pet peeve of mine, is have your whole rig packed the night before. I usually have all this packed. I kind of track in Excel, front seat, back seat, cargo area, cargo rack, roof rack, and then kind of have a rough idea of what fits there. And then I kind of cater these Excel files to or you can use Google Sheets, that's free. And every trip is different. The Wrangler has its own, the Crawler has its own file. And then if I'm going for 1 night, I don't care what I bring. I don't think about it. If we're going for 2 nights, it's dialed in enough. If we're going for 3 nights or more, like up to 7 nights, you have to get really efficient with your packing. I know that like a lot of the overlander guys seem really good about bringing tons of stuff, and I think that's cool. I just don't like to bring that much stuff, so I'd rather whittle it down to the bare minimum. And you'd be surprised. I mean, once again, when someone complains on a trip that we forgot salt or pepper, or because I don't bring it on purpose. I don't know. I've had people complain before, and I'm like, you know what? We're camping. Like, we'll improvise. That's part of the fun of camping, is like some of the improvisation that you kind of go through to kind of make things work. So anyways, comment below maybe about your gear, what I missed, maybe some things you've had to improvise on a trip. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I'll probably do a lot more of these videos because I'm super into tracking and logging camping gear for each trip. Like some of these guys are all about like a really cool goose gear setup with all of this stuff, and they have all these herbs and spices and like built-in water. For water, I literally bring a 2.5 gallon Scepter jug, and that usually gets us by on top of like a case or 2 of water bottles. I usually drink a ton of water when we're camping. All right, well, I'm gonna sign off. I'm rambling now. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for tuning in to John Larson's Off-Road. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and I don't know, I'm supposed to comment, I guess. I don't know. The algorithm, we gotta please the algorithm. So, if you don't please the algorithm, the gods are gonna be mad, or I don't know what happens. I don't know. The gods are YouTube and Facebook now, so I guess we gotta please them. So yeah, please the algorithm. It makes it happy, and so do what you're supposed to do. Still learning that stuff. Yeah, have a good time. Go wheel.